Hello everyone and welcome to the first Giving Day live stream. I'm your host for this live stream. I'm Rebecca Cole, a first year law student here at Warwick, and also the head of the arts department at the radio station here, which is a very exciting role I've just begun. And this is my first opportunity to do anything with that role, and I'm really excited to host today. So I'm excited. I hope you're excited. I hope we all enjoy the live stream. So just to kick off, introducing what's going on today. Firstly, what we need to mention is a massive thank you for all of the donors so far. We have raised an amazing 11,300 already, which is incredible. Thank you to everyone who's donated. What's coming up with today's live stream? We've got some interviews with Warwick academics, which I'm really looking forward to. We've got Nicole Robb and Michael Scott, and we will also be seeing some amazing creations from both our students and alumni. Just to kick off, before we introduce the first video, I want to encourage you all to comment in the chats on Facebook and on YouTube if you're watching the YouTube live stream. If you're not, go and introduce yourself, connect with all the Warwick alumni, because it's an exciting opportunity for a community to get together on this online platform. I'm really excited for it. I hope you get to connect people, and hey, you may meet people on there that you haven't seen so far or haven't seen since you graduated, which would be an amazing opportunity. So yeah, before we kick off, I'd also like to say, make sure you share the news of the live stream if you haven't already, and on the Giving Day by using the social media share page on the Giving Day website. So for our first video, here is 73 questions with a Warwick student, kicking it off and taking you back to campus.
Hey.
Hello.
I'm sorry we're late.
I know, you're standing me up, I thought.
Uni student timing, you know how it is.
Awful, awful.
Are you ready for your 73 questions?
Let's do it.
Who are you?
Hi, I'm Taryn.
What do you study?
I study biomedical science and I'm in my third year now.
So why did you choose Warwick?
I just love the community kind of feel on campus, and it seems as though everyone seems to know each other.
Nice. What are your passions, Taryn?
I've actually recently taken up cycling, so I'm doing a lot of that at the minute.
Oh, so you're very sporty then?
I try.
How many contact hours per week does a Warwick biomed student have?
So we have some of the most on campus. So I have about 30 hours in first year, but it does get less and less as the years go on.
Oh, that's almost a full-time job.
It is tough sometimes.
Typical class size?
There's about 150 people on my year, but I'd say about 70 people turn up to lectures every now and again.
Okay, reasonable.
Yeah.
How much homework do you do per day?
Again, it's quite a lot in first year, and then as you get through the years, it depends on how busy your week is to how much time you have to do your homework.
Can we have an hour?
Yeah. Probably about 3 hours a day.
Okay, and are you happy you chose Warwick?
I love it here. It's the best decision I made.
Oh, what is the worst thing about Warwick, if I may ask?
You can probably hear, or we'll probably see, there's a lot of construction going on a lot of the time.
Okay, so fairly distracting.
Can be distracting, yes.
Do students stay on campus after first year?
So after first year, most people will move out, so they'll go to either Coventry or Leamington. Leamington's a lot more to do, but Coventry can be a bit cheaper for rent.
Oh, that's a great advice tip. Thank you for
no
that.
worries.
Important to bear in mind.
Exactly.
Any Warwick stereotypes we should know about? Can you debunk some myths?
Oh yeah, so everyone seems to think that we're Oxbridge rejects, but that's not always true. In fact, Warwick was my first choice university.
Okay, maybe not true for you then, Taryn. So how do most people get around campus?
So most people walk. It's quite easy to walk around campus, but otherwise you can use the renter bikes, which are found all throughout on different locations.
Not bad. And
it's great.
If you have a car, would you recommend bringing it?
For students, probably not, just because most of the parking spaces are reserved for visitors or staff.
Great, thanks for that, Taryn. Fill in the blank. If I had known blank about Warwick before I came, I would never have chosen it.
Oh, if I'd have known how bad the SU club is, I would never have chosen it.
No, not up to your standard.
Probably not this time, no.
Okay, if you had to choose a word to describe your uni experience, what would it be?
Eventful. I always seem to have a lot going on.
Okay, you're a busybody.
I tried to be busy, yeah.
How is living around the Leamington Spa Coventry area for students?
Amazing. Like I said, there's always something to do. Leamington has loads of bars, loads of clubs and loads of places just to go to enjoy your time.
Okay, it seems like I should try it out.
Absolutely.
What is first year student accommodation like?
It's quite varied, so you've got quite budget and quite expensive. I stayed in Sherborne and I loved it.
What's that coming up ahead?
This building here is the library.
And how many libraries do you guys have?
We have one central library and every department will have their own sort of mini library on campus in their departments.
And how long do they stay open until?
So this one stays open 24/7 and then your department ones depends on if the department's open, if they stay open.
That is great for exam season.
Exactly, yes.
Any halls you would recommend applying to? Where should we avoid?
Definitely say apply to Sherborne, that's where I stayed. I'd say avoid Whitefield, it's not exactly the best on campus.
Self-catered or catered?
So all of the accommodation at Warwick is self-catered. We don't have any canteens. And by the way, this is a cafe which is just adjacent to the library. So if you are staying late, there's always somewhere to grab a bite to eat.
Ideal.
It's amazing, yeah.
Karen, what is an essential item you should bring when moving in?
I would say a personality. Get ready to meet different people from different walks of life.
That sounds standard, but maybe it's easier said than done.
Exactly.
What is one quality Warwick has that other unis don't?
We have loads of new modern buildings, so although it's a bit annoying all the construction, we have buildings like this, the law school, which is brand spanking new and lovely to see on campus. But we do also have loads of green spaces too, which is important.
Okay, and what's an overrated place then that people go to around campus?
It has to be the SU club. I mean, it's good for first year, but beyond there, probably wouldn't go there again.
Okay, so just not up to your standard,
not up to my, not the party lifestyle, no.
How often do you leave uni?
In first year, probably quite a lot more than I do now. But now I feel like I'm discovering more of the local spaces, which are quite nice.
Taryn, where is this?
So this is the economics department actually, so on this quad, and all of these buildings were newly renovated.
Okay, so some students might have some lectures here or tutorials?
Tutorials, so tutorials or seminars, and then we've got massive lecture halls which are a bit further out.
Right, looks so cozy and close-knit.
It's great, yeah.
So Taryn, closest budget places to travel to as a student?
It's quite easy to jump on the train to go to Birmingham, or a lot of people just tend to spend the time in Leamington because it's quite nice student vibes there.
That's lovely that your surrounding areas are actually really nice too.
It's amazing, yes, it's great.
Tell us about you. What societies are you involved in?
So I'm a volunteer with St John Ambulance, so that's first aid assistance, but in my first year I used to be a part of TEDx, which is an amazing experience.
So are you Mr. King of Advice?
Oh God, I don't think so.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how sporty is your uni?
Well, funnily enough, we've just recently had a new sports hub that's been renovated and brand new, so
no way.
Great, yeah.
Do we see you there all the time then?
Not as much as I'd like to.
Which sports team makes the most noise?
Definitely men's rugby.
Does your uni have any rivalries with other unis?
Probably Coventry, but that's because we're neighbours to them.
Right, basically turf wars?
That's right, yes.
Rate Warwick's Freshers Week out of 10. 10 being the best.
Ooh, I'd probably say 4.
Ooh, that's pretty low, Taryn.
Yeah, there's something for everyone, but it wasn't for me.
Okay, so how inclusive would you say the Freshers events are? for non-drinkers?
Like I said, there's something for everyone to do, so you don't always have to be drinking to have a good time.
Okay, and what's the best place to chill on campus?
I would probably say the Warwick Business School, which is just behind us. It's great because they've got a cafe which you can go to, and you don't have to be a student to get into the building.
Okay, so speaking of business and economics, student finance instalments can be pretty overwhelming. Best budgeting tips?
I would probably say try to remember to leave some money for when the term ends, or if you want to go away for a student getaway. Otherwise it can be quite difficult because you don't get a loan during the term break.
Definitely, especially over summer, I've heard it's tough.
Exactly.
Best tips for getting a good social life study balance?
Always try and do your work during the week.
Best takeaway spot around campus?
There's a Domino's not too far from here, and they do great student deals.
How many times per week do students at your uni go out?
You can technically go out every single day of the week, but I'd say most average around 2 or 3.
I love that. It sounds like a pretty active student life culture.
Yeah, it's great.
So, is it a house party or club culture?
I'd probably say club culture to begin with, but as you go on for your time at Warwick, it becomes progressively more house party.
Typical going out look?
I would say wear trainers and wear something that you don't mind getting dirty, because it can get a bit messy.
Oh goodness, okay, thanks for the heads up on that one.
No worries.
Ships or hookups? What's the dating scene like?
The dating scene is non-existent.
Oh, come on Taryn, it can't be that bad.
It's awful.
Have you ever seen a celebrity around campus?
Yes, not too far from here actually. I saw Professor Brian Cox, a physicist, and Nick Grimshaw, the Radio 1 DJ.
That's a pretty interesting selection.
Quite a variety, yeah.
And speaking more close-knit, who are your people on campus?
I really love my flatmates. I love living with them, and I love seeing them on campus as well, just bumping into them. It's great.
That's lovely that you can actually bump into people on campus that you know.
Exactly.
Coolest thing you've then seen on campus?
We had a massive ball pit during freshers, so it was just great to meet new people and just have fun in a very childish way. By the way, we're just by the bus interchange, so this is really important if you want to get around the local area.
Oh, that's pretty useful, I guess, for those trips to Birmingham or...
That's it, Birmingham, Coventry and Leamington. It's really easy to get to via the buses.
I'll bear that in mind. So, do students get part-time jobs, or is everyone always well off?
I have a part-time job for the weekends. Some people choose to work, but it does depend on you and if you have the time and the ability to work when you're studying.
So no pressure, but some people do if they need to.
Yeah.
How fashionable is your campus?
I'd say there are some quirky looks on campus, but you can be comfortable if you want to, or make an effort if you do too.
Can you roll into class looking like you've just woken up, or is everyone always well dressed?
I'd say people do make an effort for lectures, some more than others, so I probably wouldn't come in just straight out of bed.
Okay, so typical outfit you would wear to class?
Probably a jeans, a casual shirt, and something which is a bit comfortable, yes.
That's still pretty dressed up, Taryn.
Yeah, I'm a bit too extra.
Are you sleep deprived?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, classic. How many hours of sleep do you get a night?
I'd say about 5 or 6, but that's because I've got a new puppy.
Oh, okay, maybe it's worth it.
It is, yes.
Give us an idea of a classic uni day timetable.
So, wake up and get ready for lectures at 9, then have a tutorial with my professor, then go to lectures, and then have labs in the afternoon.
Oh, that's your 6-hour day gone.
Quite busy.
Ready for partying?
Yes, actually to the tea bar where you can have a drink after your lectures.
Coffee shops or pubs?
I would say coffee shops.
Independents or chains?
Definitely independent.
Where should I go for great food around here?
We actually have a Pret on campus just over there where we're heading.
Where are we heading?
So this is the piazza, so this is the main central area. It doesn't look too busy right now, but during Eurovision, the World Cup or any events on campus, this is packed with students.
Is it weird? But I can just imagine it.
It's amazing, it's so full and it's so beaming and full of light.
And where can we find you, Taryn, on a typical weekend off campus?
Probably at work, unfortunately.
Oh, and how far is the closest airport?
About 20 minutes on the train.
Okay, that's not too bad. Taryn, is your uni diverse?
It's internationally diverse, yes.
Okay, would you say there needs to be more diversity?
It would be nice to see more BAME around campus.
How is the student satisfaction here?
I feel like loads of people enjoy it here.
That's great. Best advice for coping with exam season stress?
Don't forget to exercise and remember to take a break.
Any disadvantages of Warwick Uni?
All the building work going on.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that is a distraction.
It can be quite distracting, but it's for better buildings and better facilities for students.
Is everyone out for themselves at your school, or is there a supportive atmosphere?
I feel like you can get a lot of support from the years above, but it is quite competitive within your year group, but that's not always a bad thing.
Okay, yeah, I totally agree. It's not always a bad thing. Healthy competition's all right.
That's it.
If you could change one thing about your school, what would you change?
Oh, that's a tough one. Maybe bring it closer to campus. Biomedical science is a little bit further out, probably about 7 minutes walk.
Do you prefer uni in the summer or winter?
Definitely in the summer, so you can go and grab a drink after your lectures.
Okay, and as we come to a close, Taryn, what activity must a Warwick student do before graduating?
Take part in the sports socials, and that's what we call circles.
Okay, it sounds like there's more to that.
It's amazing. You'll have to experience it if you come here.
Oh, I'd love to. Number one tip for success at Warwick?
Ooh, just remember that it's not always about the degree, and it's about the people you meet and the connections you make.
I love that, Taryn. So tell us now, what are you doing for the rest of your day?
I'm going to get a bite to eat, so I'll probably leave you here.
Well, those are your 73 questions, Taryn.
Thank you very much.
So much.
See you
We'll
soon.
See you
Bye.
Around. Bye-bye.
Well, that was great, wasn't it? I always love seeing the campus in little videos when I watch some society stuff on YouTube, so I'm sure you all enjoyed it too. I love the mention of the Warwick Law School building, always a great building. Obviously, it's not been open this year, so I haven't actually been in since my open day here, but great video. Next video, we have Sandy Tang, who is an engineering graduate at Warwick and a recent finalist on MasterChef. In this video, she talks about her time at Warwick and cooks dishes actually inspired by her favourite dishes at the bar, the Fusion Bar, and at the Dirty Duck.
Hi everyone, it's Sandy Tang here. I am also a Warwick alumni that I graduated back in 2017, studied electronic engineering. And fast forward, now I'm working as a technology consultant at Accenture and also running my side business as a food consultant slash recipe developer because I'm also a finalist of the MasterChef UK 2020. So today I'm going to teach you how to make a dish that I developed specific for you guys, and that is the crispy chili beef burger. Now, this is my way of paying my homage to one of my favorite dish in bar fusion, the crispy chili beef, as well as the dirty duck burger. So I kind of want to combine the best of both worlds. This is something fun and great to cook at home, and also as a way to celebrate the new academic year ahead of us. The full recipe is also available on my website sandytang.co.uk if you need to know the exact measures, and also remember to subscribe my YouTube channel because I always upload food recipes, and if you need more like inspiration of cooking, then you should definitely subscribe. Right, let's get started. Alright, so we're gonna start off with slicing the beef. I'm using beef skirt here, and because we're gonna deep fry it later, so I wouldn't care so much about the cut of the meat. But one thing to notice is I would definitely recommend when you're slicing it, slide it along the existed sort of ligament. That will ensure the beef is nice and tender and it wouldn't shrink as much when we cook it. For this dish, you can definitely substitute it with chicken or even paneer. So that is one of the things that I really like to do with paneer. I'm gonna refer it to my other video that I did a chili paneer, and like basically how we gonna season it and then chuck it in the oven. And basically that could be added into the sauce that we're gonna use later on. And this is all the beef that we've got. I'm gonna chuck them into a bowl. So I'm gonna marinate the beef with 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, sort of half tablespoon of sesame oil, and this. I know it sounds really strange, why would you add an egg to the beef, but this is literally the key to tenderize the beef. I'm also gonna pop like a tablespoon of corn flour just to reduce the liquid a little bit. And this motion helps to speed up that process, so eventually you wouldn't see that much of liquid left. Egg white is being absorbed by beef. I'm gonna leave this aside for at least 30 minutes before we start deep frying them. We're gonna move on to make our coleslaw in Asian flavors. So I already got the vegetables shredded. So I got some red cabbage, white cabbage, and some carrots as well. I'm actually gonna do my own mayo because they're just actually so much nicer, and it's actually really easy to make. So all you need is 1 egg yolk or 2 egg yolk, depends on the serving, but I'm gonna list my serving in the full recipe. Instead of using like a normal vegetable oil, I'm using sesame oil here, and we're just gonna slowly whisk in the sesame oil into the egg yolk. And at this point, I'm gonna add some sriracha. So then we add an extra, add some seasoning, salt. And then at this point, I'm gonna add some apple cider vinegar as well. And again, just like adding bit by bit. And then I'm gonna pour this into our shredded vegetables. Give it a nice toss. Right, now we're gonna make the chili sauce for the beef. So let's turn on the pot. Add a bit of oil. We're gonna add our ginger and garlic. So both of the ginger and garlic is here. Put them in the same pot. Chili. We're gonna add some sweet soy sauce. And then we're gonna set this aside. While I'm heating the oil to about, I would say 170 degrees, I'm gonna coat them like individually, or more like as a batch. I'm going to coat it with a bit more of the corn flour. So once this is being heated up to 170. I'm going to start dropping my beef into the hot oil. I think studying Warwick has definitely been one of the greatest experiences. I still remember in my first year, I stayed in Bluebell, and obviously like staying in dormitory is really fun because you get to know a lot of people, and I guess like that was the point that I start hosting dinners with many people joining, because it turns out that I'm actually, one of the few first year students that can actually put a meal together on the table. A lot of the students, they study abroad, don't really know how to cook. So yeah, my kitchen has always been buzzing. Like things would be probably slightly different for this year student because of the whole COVID situation that we in. It's definitely not ideal, but at the same time, staying safe is our priority at the moment. I think Warwick is a very multi-cultural and international university. You literally get to meet people from all walks of life and also from different cultural backgrounds. My advice for a student who is going to study in Warwick is definitely like just try as many things as you can, because you can never really plan ahead saying I'm going to pick up this skills for a specific thing. Sometimes like they just all come along into one, and that's how it becomes you. That is the unique selling point of yourself. So try everything, be super open-minded, because there will be many other really open-minded people like yourself in this space, and it's definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So yeah, definitely make the most out of it. I'm going to heat it up slightly so it's more viscous. So once it starts simmering, I'm going to turn the heat off, and then now is the point where I'm going to add all this lovely fried crispy beef back into the sauce. And then once it's mixed evenly, we're gonna set this aside and wait for it to cool down a bit. Right, so we pretty much have everything now. We have the coleslaw, our really nice crispy chili beef, and what's missing is definitely the bread roll. So I have actually already mixed some really nice potato bread roll. If you want to know how to make this lovely fluffy buns, please check out my YouTube video because the full recipe will be over there. But these are like literally the softest bun that you would ever have. They are so amazing. I don't know if you can see like how soft and squishy they are. So we'll be using this as the burger bun, which I always go for as a burger bun. Right now we're just gonna assemble everything together. Yeah, and that will be our amazing burger. And this is our final product. Our crispy chili beef burger with Asian slaw, and it looks absolutely amazing. This recipe is definitely showing my love to the great times that I had in Warwick campus, and yeah, I really miss that every now and then. I hope you enjoyed this recipe because I definitely had a lot of fun making this. And yeah, remember to subscribe my Instagram and YouTube for more recipe inspirations. I always cook and I love to share with everybody. So yeah, stay tuned. And hopefully, I don't know, maybe we can meet in person sometime. Right, so bye!
Another great video there. And a reminder, I haven't actually had lunch yet, making me really hungry. Next up, as you can see on the screen, we have our first interview of the live stream with Dr. Nicole Robb. Before I introduce you, I'm really looking forward to this. So excited. So Dr. Nicole Robb is an assistant professor in Warwick Medical School, specialising in RNA viruses, including the pathogens that cause COVID-19. My best friend on campus is really interested in this line of research, so I'm taking so many notes, and she's so jealous of this. So I'm really looking forward to this. She also heads up the Robb Lab at the medical school. The Robb Lab is funded by the Royal Society, and it investigates how these viruses replicate in order to find ways to diagnose and combat viral disease. Dr. Robb also works with Warwick's new Institute for Global Pandemic Planning, which is a lot to talk about. We'll crack on. Firstly, how and why did you come here to Warwick? Like, an amazing professor who, can I just say, my friend's very jealous of, so I'm excited for this interview. Why Warwick? Like, yes.
First of all, hello, hi, very nice to meet you, Rebecca, and thank you for the invitation to be here today. It's really, really great and exciting to be able to talk to you. So thank you for the really kind introduction. I'm Nicole, and like you said, I'm an assistant professor in the Warwick Medical School. So I guess I'll start by just telling you a little bit about myself. So I started off doing a microbiology degree at Imperial College, and I specialized in my final year in virology. So that was my first kind of intro to viruses, and I thought they were really great and really cool. So I went on and I did a PhD in virology at Oxford, where I worked on flu viruses. And that was the start of my kind of love affair with viruses. That I was really fascinated by them, and I knew that was what I wanted to do. But after kind of the 4 years of PhD study, I felt like I was quite, I only knew sort of a very small niche kind of thing. And so I wanted to look around and kind of explore other fields and stuff as well. So I had this great opportunity to do a postdoc in biophysics, which is kind of a big leap away from what I already knew. It was quite a big, steep learning curve. But it was during that I got really interested in microscopes and using like really cool physics techniques to study really small things. So you can actually use biophysics to study not just things like a whole animal or a whole cell, but you can actually study like individual little parts of the cell and watch them working in real time. And then, of course, the thing that is really, really small as well are virus particles. So if you put the two together, that's kind of what really interests me. So in 2017, I was really lucky to get my first kind of independent grant funding from the Royal Society, and I started my own research group. And we do a whole mishmash of the things that interest me. So we use lots of microscopy and lots of biophysics techniques to study viruses. And last July, I joined Warwick, which was also a fantastic opportunity. I was looking around for somewhere to kind of base my lab and somewhere that, with great opportunities. And Warwick is a fantastic university. We've been really lucky that we've got a space in the new IBRB building, which has just opened, and that's been so exciting. So we have a really nice new home. Everything's new and shiny, and just really exciting to be here.
So tell us more about the Robb Lab. I introduced it briefly, but you can give it a way better introduction.
Yeah. So we've always been interested in studying how viruses replicate, and specifically a group that are called RNA viruses. So these viruses have, instead of DNA as their genetic material, but RNA. And unfortunately, these viruses contain a lot of the really dangerous ones, especially not just to humans, but to animals and things as well. So we've always been interested in that. And we've also, for the last sort of 4 or 5 years or so, been interested in using microscopes as a way to detect viruses and even to diagnose them. So something that we have worked on for quite a while was we were coming up with a test that could really quickly and easily tell you what flu strain was in a sample. And so flu is obviously a nasty illness, crops up every winter, and it's really useful if you have a quick, accurate test for it. So that's what we were doing for a while. And then, of course, things changed quite dramatically at the beginning of last year with the COVID pandemic. And we realized that what we were doing could actually be used for COVID testing as well. So we basically kind of been working flat out to changing that technology slightly to also include COVID samples. And what we've come up with is something quite exciting. So we use a microscope to take pictures of a clinical sample. So like, for example, you could take a nose swab or a throat swab, just dip that in a little bit of solution and then use a microscope to take a picture of it. And then we have some really clever computer software that looks at the image and can actually tell you what's in it. So it can tell you if there's no virus there, or if there is a virus, it can go a step further and it can say, oh, this is SARS-CoV-2, so this is COVID-19, or this is flu, or this is some other type of virus. So it's a kind of a very different way of doing viral testing, but it's very quick and very kind of easy to do, just a few simple steps. So we're pretty excited about that, and that's something that we've been working on a lot over the last year or so. Also just basically expanding what we do to study a bit more about how the COVID-19 virus replicates, like what it does if it gets into the body, that kind of thing as well.
So I don't know much about science research. I'm a law student, but how did you research, like you said, beyond just looking at how you can have a simple test for it? What else did you look at during the pandemic?
Well, I mean, so that was really our main focus for most of last year. So actually, I've got a fantastic bunch of students in the lab. They worked sort of all through the lockdowns and stuff. And we also have a great bunch of collaborators at the hospital. So we spent a lot of time at the hospital doing sampling and testing of COVID samples there. And now that that's sort of calmed down a little bit, we're back in the lab doing kind of basic research questions. So trying to really fundamentally understand like how viruses work. When a virus goes into a human cell, for example, it basically disassembles into lots of different parts, and all of those parts interact with the cell in different ways and kind of basically hijack the cell and take it over. So we're really interested in exploring like how that process works, and if there's any steps in that process that you can then target with drug. Eventually the idea is that we understand exactly how the virus works, how it interacts with the cell, and then we know exactly how to treat it. And that's kind of the core of what the lab does.
How did you get into the love for studying viruses? I have a friend who goes on about it a lot, but I don't really understand how. I mean, both our parents are NHS staff, so it comes from that. But was it just a fascination at undergrad, or?
I think so. Yeah, I come from a pretty sciencey family. Both my parents have sort of a science background, and my brother's a material science. But I don't think it was that in particular. I think it was probably that at undergrad I was lucky to have a fantastic lecturer on that course, and that really kind of sparked my imagination, and I got interested in it. And then the same when I did my PhD, I am so grateful. Looking back now, I had this absolutely fantastic supervisor, and he was really inspirational, and I thought, like, I want to do what he does. Like, that's really, what a great job, and I'd like to do that. So I think it wasn't really a premeditated thing. It was more just kind of a lot of luck and chance that got me into it.
Nice. And so back to COVID-19, our favorite topic. This also expands into the Institute for Global Pandemic Planning.
Yeah, it's quite a mouthful. We call it the IGPP for short. So I mean, it's great to be able to tell you a little bit about it. It's really exciting. So this is basically a new institute at Warwick that's been funded by donors, public donations, and in particular some former alumni from Warwick. So we're very, very grateful for everyone that's contributed to make this happen. And the idea of the Institute is really to bring together different areas of expertise that Warwick has into one place. So Warwick has this fantastic groupings of scientists that have been really important in tackling different parts of the pandemic. So, for example, the Maths Institute has a group of scientists that have been working like tirelessly over the last kind of year and a half, and they do mathematical modelling, and they take all of the data about COVID and different things in the country and try and predict what will happen in certain scenarios. And they are actually, a lot of them are part of the government advisory board that, you know, help guide policy and actually change things that, you know, impact real life and our day-to-day lives. So there's that group that obviously play a really important role in the pandemic and will do in future pandemics. There's also the public health scientists. So these guys kind of give advice to people like the WHO and things about the impact of COVID on public health and the impact of lockdowns, for example, that kind of thing. Maybe the more not obvious sides of the pandemic that you don't see, like the impact on other health services that COVID has had, for example, like cancer treatment, things like that. Then there's the group of behavioral scientists. So these guys also play a really, really important role. So they look at things like human behavior and the impact of COVID on that, like on, for example, has it changed the things that we care about or the things that we like to buy or how people interact with each other? And all of these different areas of expertise are brought together in the Institute. So it brings a grouping of scientists together in one place. And the other kind of really fundamental idea behind it is that we need to pass that knowledge on. So obviously we can't kind of stop bad viruses from cropping up and potentially causing pandemics again in the future, but we can put kind of frameworks in place and plans in place of how to hopefully prevent it, or if the worst happens, you know, how to make the impact of it as small as possible, how to manage pandemics. And the idea is that we've got a PhD program starting. So the first students will be here in October. And we want to have a really kind of interdisciplinary group of experts out the back of it that can help guide governments, guide policy going forward. Because it's awful. This current pandemic is so devastating. It's so awful, but probably not going to be the last one that we have. So we just want to make sure that if it happens again, we're properly prepared and have everything in place to kind of make it least bad it can be.
You just touched upon the new PhD program starting up.
Yeah.
Just want to ask you, why is Warwick sort of well positioned to deliver this program? What are our areas of expertise here?
So, I mean, I think we're in a fantastic position to deliver it. And the reason being is that we already have all of these experts sitting here, and we already have scientists who are doing these things, you know, who are advising the government about things like the vaccination strategy, or when to ease lockdown, or, you know, what happens when you open schools, that kind of thing. So this kind of expertise is already sat here at Warwick. There's already this fantastic grouping of scientists and experts who are doing this kind of work. And that's why I think we are kind of best positioned to then get new recruits in as new cohorts of PhD students, and expand that. The other thing about the Institute is it's obviously got the word global in it. So it's not just a UK-based effort. Obviously, viruses don't respect borders. They just go anywhere. And I think that having like a truly kind of global framework to tackle pandemics is really important. So one of the things that we've done is that the studentships are open internationally. So in fact, we have just finished recruiting our first batch of students that will start in October, and they are a very diverse international group. We've got students from Africa, from the USA, from Europe, from the UK, and they have lots of different backgrounds and experiences, but they all have a kind of a common goal that they want to come up with kind of new, novel, innovative ways to tackle pandemics.
It's great to hear about the PhD scholarships. We're running out of time with this interview, unfortunately. We could go on and on, but last question about now that we're on to the PhD scholarships, how do you think these will contribute to the success of the Institute?
I mean, I think they're really crucial to it. So it's okay to have this expertise sat here already, but part of what we do as academics and as a university is we need to pass that knowledge on, and we need to teach new generations of students coming through. So the studentship arm of the Institute is absolutely vital, and it's the most important thing of the whole Institute and the aim of it.
Well, what a great way to end the interview. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thanks. So that was our first interview, a very exciting one. We're going to kick off with our second interview now with a fellow law student. Hello.
Hi.
This is a fellow first-year law student, Iman. You are a scholar ambassador at the university, is that right?
Yes, I am.
So, which means that you work with the development team to promote the scholarship program, so our alumni and donors can find out how this works, which is very exciting to talk about today. I'm very excited to learn more about this as a fellow first year. It's really great to meet you. So
nice to meet you too.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you on here. Let's kick off with before coming to law school here. What was school like for you? Did you ever think you'd become a law student, a lawyer?
Yeah, for me, I knew I wanted to study law from very early on, which is why before going into sixth form, I already knew I'd choose mostly essay-based subjects to prepare me for my degree. In school, also in our sixth form, it was a lot of independent work, so I knew that would help me prepare for university, since university is largely independent. So yeah, and I also used to attend many events during sixth form, such as law insight days, law summer schools, just to confirm that law was the degree I wanted to do. And all these activities helped me confirm that law was the degree I wanted to go in. And especially with Warwick, they offered so many opportunities to come in and to do sit down in classes, sit down in lectures, listen to what it's like to be in a real life lecture. And I feel like that really helped me confirm that law was the subject I wanted to do.
How exciting. So you grew up in Coventry, didn't you? So did you go to the university a lot before you came here?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. And so tell us, for those who don't know, a bit about the scholarship and the application process for that.
So I found out about Warwick Scholars through my school. They were very closely linked to Warwick. My teachers told me about the program. They informed me who could apply. So I applied once I got home. And then the application was quite easy. It wasn't too wordy. You just had to put your grades in, what school you go to, whether it's a state school or not. And then there was just a tiny section on why you would be fit for the program and why you should be chosen, since it was quite competitive, I think. And yeah, once the application was sent, they got back to me, I think, a month or two later, which was quite sooner than expected. And yeah, the application process was quite smooth.
What was this kind of support you received on the program? Was that a program when you were doing A levels, or?
Yeah, so I applied during the last few months of year 12. So then I was offered a lot of support during year 13. There was an overnight residential where we got to come into Warwick, stay on campus, and we were taught basic skills and like how to prepare for exams. And then after that, during year 13, there were a lot of opportunities to come into campus again. One being, actually, I think that got cancelled due to COVID. But there was a boot camp where you could come in, and there were certain revision sessions for certain A levels that you could do. But yeah, that got cancelled because of COVID. And then there was another opportunity to come in and spend 3 days getting involved with activities to do with your course. So the program essentially helped us prepare for what university life would be like in the second half of sixth form.
What were the activities like when you came to campus?
So one was sitting in a seminar with the other people on the campus. So we were taught what a seminar would be like, and that was really exciting. And the other activities were somewhat less to do with our personal choices. They were more to do with skills and development. So there was one session on how to successfully prepare for your exams. There was one session on how to retain information, which was actually really useful. And there was one session on this technique. I thought it was called the Cornwell method. It was how to prepare your notes during class to help you, to aid you in revision. And yeah, they were really helpful, and they were basically designed to fit everybody's needs, so that if we were all in one room, it wouldn't just cater to people with certain degrees.
Nice. So did you meet a lot of people on the program in other subjects as well?
Yeah, I actually made a lot of friends before coming to Warwick due to the program, and they were all in different departments.
Nice. And so now your time at Warwick, so the activities that helped you mainly with A-levels, did they still apply to Warwick? How are you finding the course?
Yeah, I'm still using the techniques I learned for exams during my exams right now. They were like, I feel like they were lifelong. Like, they weren't just for A-level exams, they were for exam general, but they really helped with A-levels. I mean, from what we're being, because we didn't actually see A-levels because of COVID.
So they're helping with the current exams you're having at the moment?
Yeah.
How are you finding the law course in general? What's sort of your favourite experience so far, maybe at Warwick and in the department?
There wasn't, in terms of like the law society and that, there haven't been much opportunities to get involved with practical things because of COVID. But in terms of academia, I really enjoyed studying criminal law and the seminars around that. And yeah, I find them really engaging. And because I have a good interest in criminal law, I really loved the seminars, the criminal law. And I have an exam with the criminal law coming up next week.
So you're looking forward to that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because criminal law is my least favourite. So
really?
You're enjoying it when I'm not, yeah.
So what's your favourite then?
Tort.
Oh yeah, I like tort too. I'd be surprised if you said property.
Property's over now. Property doesn't exist. We've finished property.
Yeah.
So how well did so you had the seminar in person when you came here when you were in A-levels. How well did that reflect the seminars online? So the examples
I feel like the ones in person were more engaging. I feel like online it's easy to drift and lose attention, but in person you're just there in person, and it's a lot more demanding. So I found the in-person ones better in a way because it was more interactive and I actually spoke more. But online, I'm just sit here behind the screen and listen to the tutor and the other people.
So you know what we're missing out on this year then?
Yeah.
So are you excited for next year's in-person seminars?
Yeah, I am. I can't wait.
So I've noticed on the notes that you're a scholar ambassador. So is this for those who will want to come in the scholarship in the future?
A scholar Wait, sorry, can you read that?
So you're a scholar ambassador for the scholarship program that for A-level students. What's that like? Do you help with future A-level students who might be on the program? Are you representing the school in that way?
Not really. I feel like it would be that way if COVID wasn't there and we could actually do in-person activities and like go to school and help A-level students understand about the scholarship. But right now, since it's mostly virtual, the opportunities are really limited, and it's usually opportunities like this, or I think there was only one or two other opportunities, but that was just typing up our experiences about Warwick scholars. So in a way, yeah, I am representing the program, but the way I can and the amount I can is very limited at the moment.
So hopefully in the future you'll get more opportunities to do so.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you want to become a lawyer in the future. Has that been an ambition before you even got to law school?
Yeah. I took a part in a 1-week work experience with one of my local law firms at the end of year 12. And yeah, that's when I realised I actually enjoy the work and I wanted to become a solicitor.
So did you go into a law firm? What did you do?
It was mostly to do with conveyancing, and then there was a department on immigration. So most of it was emailing and looking through paperwork and deciding basically the simple things because I wasn't actually qualified to do the proper work. And then with the immigration section side, I could type up letters. There were letters that you had to send to somewhere about people. So yeah, I had to assist in writing those letters.
So we've got another question to ask about the scholarship, if that's okay. Just about how the bursary has supported you through. Is the bursary for the law school, your time at the law school, or as part of the scholarship program?
Sorry, is the question about the bursary?
Yes. So how has it supported you essentially?
So the bursary is mostly supporting me with travel, because at the beginning, because I used to commute to Warwick. So with bus travels and expenses, and with my books, because the law books can be very expensive. So yeah, getting my books, it's been really helpful with that. And if any other cost related things come up, I was expecting trips to come up, which the bursary would really help me with. But again, due to COVID. So like I've managed to save up some in case next year something like that comes up. So I feel like it would be more helpful in the future.
Potentially some trips to London to law firms, perhaps.
Yeah.
So this was the last question of the interview, and a nice chance to chat to another law student. It's been hard to meet people this year. Thank you so much for coming on the live stream today.
Thank you for having me.
So next up, after these amazing interviews, you're probably sick of hearing my voice. We're going to kick it off with some videos. The next video is Warwick in Africa.
Happy birthday, Warwick in Africa.
Happy birthday, Warwick in Africa.
15 years. It's a very long time, and I'm really, really delighted that you've continued to grow and make a difference and make an impact for such a long period of time.
The impact that Warwick in Africa has had on my life has been truly profound. I never expected to be involved in a programme in Africa, and certainly not to be involved closely in its creation. That was truly fantastic.
Well, congratulations, Warwick in Africa, on 15 years. I really hope that in the future, more learners, teachers and volunteers get the chance to benefit from this amazing programme.
Greetings, Warwick team in Africa. This is Avio, and I would like to congratulate you on your great 15-year history. Thank you for your continued support and always being the great team that you are. The change that you've driven and the effectiveness of your mission in our schools has been truly impressive. A very happy and heartfelt 15th anniversary.
In terms of the impact that WIA has had on my life, it's redirected my passions and filled me with nothing but intrinsic motivation for affecting change, really.
The word I would use to sum up Warwick in Africa is a tool. It is a tool because it helps teachers to carry out their daily teaching activities with confidence and excitement.
On Warwick in Africa's 15th anniversary, it gives me a huge pleasure to say congratulations and to thank all the donors, partners and volunteers.
Congratulations, Warwick in Africa, on this big occasion, and many wishes for future success. We are eager to continue learning more from this amazing family. Happy 15th anniversary, Warwick in Africa. Cheers!
The impact of Warwick in Africa on my life has been enormous, really. I've learnt so much from everybody. I've learnt that you can't just stand by and let injustice happen. You can actually do something. Maths and English are amazing liberators from poverty. They're also fantastic empowerers of people. People can change their own lives if they have these skills. They can get a job, they can influence others, and they can teach others. It's been amazing to see that. I've learnt so much.
So it gave me huge pleasure many, many years ago when Patrick Dunn asked me to play just a tiny, weeny part in setting up Warwick in Africa. And that was, I'm just looking at my notes actually, it was in 2006 when a few Warwick students set out in what was then a small volunteering project with the aim of teaching English and maths in a South African school.
The impact that Warwick in Africa has had on my life is that people of different color and race come into schools and present a world of love, acceptance, and hope through teaching.
The impact of Warwick in Africa is immensely powerful, as it enriches the lives of all three communities who participate and share responsibility for the programme: the pupils, the teachers, and the student volunteers.
Learning from my Warwick in Africa experiences of Ghana in 2015 and South Africa in 2017, I launched my own social enterprise called Project Bala in India, which has benefited 275,000 young girls and women for their menstrual hygiene needs. In fact, we also managed to send some of our products and solutions back to Ghana and a few schools in Tanzania, where the original ideas actually came from.
Warwick in Africa has given me a lot of great memories. And my favorite memory is when I had the opportunity to participate in the Warwick Study Program to learn at the UK with other colleagues from Tanzania and South Africa.
Well, I really think that video speaks for itself. I don't think I can add much more to that other than just viewing the impact that the team make. Our next video is from the boring team, which is more of an enjoyable video than it comes across. Despite the name, is actually a really exciting project that can help change the future for transport. Boring refers to earth boring to create tunnels for transport, utilities, and more. So here's the next video.
Hello.
Namaste.
Vanakkam.
Vanakkam. Assalamualaikum.
Keem cho?
Sat Shri Akal.
Bonjour. Hola.
Hola. Привет.
Ni hao.
Salut.
Salut. Salut.
And Salim.
So everyone wants to know, why are we doing this competition and what is the competition? So the Not a Boring competition is hosted by Elon Musk's Boring Company. The guiding question is, can you beat the snail? As in, can your tunneling machine tunnel faster than a snail can move? And the challenge itself is to build a prototype tunnel 30 meters long, 2 meters below the surface, with a 0.5 meter diameter. And what we're hoping is to be able to compete in mid-August after building our prototype machine. And we expect our technological innovations to enable this machine to be faster, to be continuous and cost-effective, and to be scalable to new sizes outside of the competition, to enable us to apply it to different markets outside of just this prototype.
The scope of tunneling for current and future applications is vast. The uses vary from utility like power, water, and gas, freight transportations from ports to warehouses, pedestrian walkways, and loop transportation systems for cars in the future. Tunnels offer multiple benefits to society, such as minimal land use, minimal surface impact, unlimited capacity for expansion, and future expansions compared to surface level transportation methods. They're also weatherproof, so therefore you don't need to be worried about rain or hail while traveling on the next journey you're taking in tunnels.
Our team are representative of the diversity in Warwick University. We are from 11 countries all across the globe, with 3 female leads and university alumni. We're also from various disciplines, such as mechanical engineering, civil engineering, computer science, law, and business management.
The competition has brought about multiple career opportunities, such as the host SpaceX and the Boring Company are using this as a platform to recruit some of the brightest minds that are competing in this competition. Our sponsors have also shown a keen interest in recruitment after speaking to the team members about the technological issues and challenges that we've faced. Our members have gained real-world experiences in engineering while working alongside professionals from WMG and the School of Engineering, preparing them for what comes next in their life and career.
We're representing British engineering on a global stage hosted by one of the brightest engineering minds of the modern era. We are the only UK university in the competition, competing against the most elite universities from around the world, such as MIT, ETH Zurich, Technical University of Munich, as well as industrial hobbyists. We're using parts sourced from UK suppliers and conducting all manufacturing, assembly, and testing within the UK.
We've had an amazing amount of support in a number of different forms, such as articles, podcasts, maybe even online press, and from a range of different companies, including some of the ones you see on screen now, such as Civil Engineer and the BBC. And we're continuing to generate more and more interest on all our 4 social media platforms. So we're very, very excited for you guys to be involved in our project, and we hope you are too.
So our big message to you is we are quite ambitious team. We did amazing technology. We want to make sure we succeed also in the competition. Our kind of innovation, it is achievable and it can be actually revolutionary in tuning industry.
Now is an exciting time to be boring, guys.
Yeah, so thank you so much everyone. And
thank you guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Definitely not a boring video there. I like the point of them being an ambitious team because you see ambition in the bloodline of Warwick. At least I do, and I hope you all do too. Next off, we're back with another interview, which is incredibly exciting. Hello, this is with Professor Michael Scott, who is obviously widely recognised as an expert in the field of ancient Greek and Roman culture.
How are you doing?
I was going to give you a more formal introduction, but I think you're best placed to introduce yourself. If we like to crack on.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be on with you today, and it's been such an exciting day just listening to that as well. I completely agree. The previous piece, not boring in the slightest, and hopefully people won't think the ancient Greek world skipped back about 2,500 years, but they were equally worried about tunneling even then. You know, the great historian Herodotus, the father of history, talks about the miracle of a tunnel, underground tunnel being created in the ancient Greek world again that was longer than any had ever been accomplished before, and everyone going crazy for it even then. So similarities between the ancient world and now.
See, even less than a minute into the interview and you're already proving that it's not boring. So we've got an exciting time ahead. Seeing as we've already kicked off the interview, would you like to chat about your career so far and what's led up to your time at Warwick?
Yeah, I mean, it's looking back. I have to admit, I just turned 40 recently, and so there's been quite a lot of looking back, looking forward. But thinking 20 years ago, sort of finishing off my undergraduate, thinking and deciding to kind of actually go on down the academic route of doing a PhD. And for me, one thing was very, very clear at that time, that if I wanted to carry on being an academic, one of the things I wanted to spend a good deal of my time doing was talking to the wider world about why I thought this wacky and weird world of the ancients, of the Greeks and Romans, was worthwhile spending so much time studying and worthwhile dedicating one's life to studying. That seemed to me to be absolutely kind of obvious thing that one would want to do. And it has to be said that 20 years ago, so kind of thinking sort of 2000s through to 2007 time when I was finishing up the PhD, that wasn't necessarily the obvious answer from amongst the rest of the university community. And what we've seen over the last decade and a half, and which it's been a huge privilege to be a part of, is a real shift in how universities perceive and how academics within universities perceive their role in terms of research, absolutely, teaching, absolutely, but equally spending some time collaborating, communicating, and in conversation with the public in all those many different forms about what it is that they do and how to do it better in the future. And for me, it's just been an absolute delight. It's been the highlight of my career over the last decade and a half to do that and to do it through different forms. I mean, whether it's in an interview like with you today, or whether it's through writing a book that's intended for a much wider, broader audience that really challenges you when you're writing it to not make any assumptions about the knowledge that they may or may not have. You know, that's the exhilarating thing about trying to explain a concept and trying to get across an idea and discuss and see the reaction to that idea, which may come up with a question that you would never have thought about, being someone kind of, if you're kind of in the subject every day, as it were. And then equally, it's been a real joy over the past decade or so to produce and present TV documentaries about the ancient world for kind of the BBC, for ITV and National Geographic. And as a result, get into some of the most extraordinary locations in the world. And sometimes that's kind of pushed me right to the limits of what I kind of feel comfortable with. Sort of, you know, when they suddenly turn around to you and go, right, so we're going to abseil you down this underground tunnel into this tiny sort of space where it's so narrow you won't be able to turn your head, and then we'd like to sort of, you know, see how you feel about it. But it's a privilege to really have had the opportunity to walk in the footsteps of the ancients. And we're back to tunnels again. It's all clearly about tunnels, underground tunnels.
Definitely. So when you started off researching this area, I don't know how much you saw. Obviously, over the last decade, you've seen a lot more sort of public, wider engagement. But going from coming into it, knowing there's not much spoken about, not many people know about it, into, could you imagine the stage you are now where you're showing this in books and in documentaries to the wider public?
I mean, it's never something you could imagine. It's something I always kind of wanted to have as part of the career, as a natural part of doing what we're doing. It kind of just makes sense to me as kind of, is here we sit in universities, we're coming up with and discovering all this incredible stuff, and we should want to share it and involve kind of the wider world in it as much as possible. And what's really fun, I think, is that the formats that one can do that in keep on evolving and changing and being invented. You know, COVID has been obviously a horrendous time, but one of the upsides, if we can put it that way, that's come out of it is that many people have had to turn to the digital and get comfortable with it and find new ways of engaging through the digital media with the wider world. And so you could already see new techniques, new facilities, new platforms coming out of that. And just before kind of COVID hit, we in the classics department were really getting involved with virtual reality. So, you know, using VR goggles to take school kids who had never heard of ancient Greece or studied ancient Greece or Rome into ancient Athens and giving them a VR tour around the Acropolis of ancient Athens, doing things like that. And it's been a great pleasure in the last couple of years at Warwick to really kind of kickstart a lot of this activity through the Warwick Classics Network. So this is something we've set up in the Warwick Classics department, and very kind of fortunately attracted philanthropic funding to help support, where we work with schools across Coventry and Warwickshire to not only help get the teaching of the ancient world onto the syllabus in these schools on a permanent basis. We're kind of moving the needle slowly of the percentage of state primary and secondary schools across Coventry and Warwickshire that offer some form of classics on the curriculum, but also to bring loads more students onto campus to be able to learn about the ancient world with us. And then since COVID, we've really turned to think about our digital offering and the resources that we can offer online. And, the numbers speak for themselves. So since COVID, we've had well over 200,000 hits on the online resources that the Warwick Classics Network puts forward. And, it shows kind of this real appetite and enthusiasm for sharing this knowledge as widely as possible.
Definitely. You can tell just by speaking to you for a minute that you're enthusiastic about that. And I think that will come across to any young people. And it only takes one teacher, one person to be enthusiastic as a young child, as a student, to really grasp hold of that. And hopefully in the times to come, after those younger state-schooled Coventry and Warwickshire students come from a background of learning about classics at that young age, you'll see a lot more of a shift in those who apply for it at university.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's of course one aim of what we're doing, right? We would like to see, as classes, we would like to see future generations of classicists kind of coming with new questions and new ideas and from new perspectives and from new backgrounds of knowledge. But equally, I think one of the things that we also want to do is make sure that people are aware of their heritage, right? So we've got a project about to kick off in City of Culture Year talking about Roman Coventry, right? Kind of, how many people in Coventry know about their Roman heritage, and yet it's all there, all around us. So we're working with primary schools across Coventry to sort of unveil that past and give people a sense of their roots, wherever they are kind of in the country. But equally, one of the things that's always so fascinating about particularly the world of the Greeks and Romans, amongst all those other ancient worlds that we could be talking about, is that they keep being brought back into modern dialogue and debate. We saw that. Even in the sort of marches on the Capitol in America recently, right? There were people there with their placards going, "Cross the Rubicon, Trump." There were all these classical analogies, and I think it's really important to make sure that people kind of understand a little bit about this world to be able to actually make their own minds up as to whether these are fair, correct, useful analogies in the past, or whether people are misusing the ancient world, so that everyone is actually able to kind of speak that language and kind of get involved in the debate.
Very exciting, especially getting people so impressionable and able to learn about it and involved in the debate. So we've got a lot more to cover. Obviously, there's so much exciting work you do. Tell us a bit about the Centre for Ancient Greek Culture and Society.
So this is one of our big projects in the Department of Classics at the moment that the Warwick Classics Network, our outreach arm, is a part of. And one of the things we really want to do over the next couple of years is create this central hub focused on the ancient Greek world. And very often we think the ancient Greek world loses out a little bit. And if you just take for a moment, think about the Hollywood movie business, right? Hollywood does very well making movies about ancient Rome and the Roman world, Gladiator, what have you, and people buy into it. It feels like a real representation of a real world. But there's something much more difficult in trying to represent the ancient Greek world and make it feel realistic. There isn't really a successful movie out there that has actually managed to do that, because the ancient Greek world is sort of just a little bit out of our reach. It's a bit more different from our own and from our kind of the past that we can recognize. And so I think there's a real job to be done. And I've seen this in my own kind of programs on television, that it's doubly as hard to get a program away about ancient Greece as it is about ancient Rome. And so there's a job to be done to really give people a handle on particularly the ancient Greek world. And yet it's the ancient Greek world that has given us kind of so many elements of modern day society that we cling to and think about as incredibly important. Democracy is, an obvious example. So the centre is really there to try and put that focus on the ancient Greek world and on ancient Greek culture, and to do that in a number of different ways. So from the research perspective, we want to set up a chair in ancient Greek culture, so really be a flagship chair, professorial chair, amongst classics departments across the whole country. We want to bring somebody in to act as a specialist in teaching of ancient Greek language because like kind of, well, you know, Latin, people feel, you know, coming to it, and we ask students to kind of dabble in learning a bit of Latin and ancient Greek, but understandably ancient Greek is a bit of a harder ask because of that different alphabet, and it feels less familiar. So there are really interesting techniques and challenges out there to how to teach ancient Greek, and we want a specialist to come in and do that. And then we also want to create a kind of scholars network, so we get much more exchanges going backwards and forwards between Greece and the universities in Greece and the university here in Warwick. We're really good with our connections with Italian universities at the moment. We'd like to kind of get that scholarly network exchanging in both directions with Greece as well. And so that kind of research focus will then combine with our work in the Warwick Classics Network to put the ancient Greek world out there. And it will also combine with the other element we're really proud of in the Classics Department, which is our drama festival. So every year our students perform an ancient Greek tragedy or comedy of their choice. They perform it, they direct it, they produce it, and it goes on the main stage of the Warwick Arts Centre in a professional production that's supported with a substantial budget. So the students get a real chance to be part of a professional production. And then, that's open to the public performances. We also bring in schools. We bring well over 500 students in to be able to watch it, and put a whole series of lectures around that so they can really get to grips with the play. And then, the quality of the play speaks for itself when I can say it's now been invited to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival as well, like kind of to perform there. So once that's back happening online, this is a play that's going to be going places. So we want to use that drama festival as a real moment to kind of act as a flagship for that wider focus on particularly the ancient Greek world, so that the ancient Greeks can shout as loudly and be as clearly heard as those pesky Romans are as well.
It's exciting, especially now that the Art Centre is opening up again. I look forward to seeing more of what the Classics Department do there.
Well, watch this space as we take over, like kind of theatre began in ancient Greece, so we claim it for our own.
From the little I learned when I went to Athens on Greece on holiday. I know very little, but talking to you makes you more excited. Seeing that play can make you more excited, and it's great that you have the lectures around that to teach those who get interested by just watching that play, because often there's a lot of questions that's brought up in theatre in one play that you can really explore, and having those lectures around that I can see as an amazing opportunity for especially the school kids to get involved and join in the debate, as you say.
And I think the plays are a really good way in which we can remind people that, despite it being 2,500 years ago, despite it being a different place and a very different culture that's quite difficult in some ways to get a handle on kind of what it was like and how it looked, actually, when you read the plays and you look at the kind of issues of human justice, revenge, love, kind of all of these central issues to humanity that haven't changed a bit, right? That are being dealt with and thought about 2,500 years ago, and just their responses are just as shocking and as relevant and as interesting and as thought-provoking as they were then. So it brings you closer to that world through the medium of the plays, and I'm glad that you felt that as well.
So you're mentioning that having it at the Warwick Arts Centre, obviously a great use of Warwick, but why else is Warwick the best place for the centre?
Well, Warwick Classics Department is going, great guns, and we're expanding massively. And I think kind of one of the things that really makes us stand out across the country is our commitment simultaneously to the research, the teaching, and the kind of the public engagement work around classics. That's what makes us really stand out, and that we have invested in this as a fundamental part of what it is to be a classics department within a university in the UK in the 21st century. This is part of our job, part of our DNA. And so I think bringing the centre and developing the centre at Warwick is going to ensure that the great discoveries, the great thinking, the great understanding that comes out of a research centre like that is not going to be kept within any kind of ivory tower. Built into the DNA of the centre is going to be a commitment to kind of sharing that knowledge and sharing in the wonder of that knowledge at the same time.
I love that. It's great to hear. Unfortunately, the time slot for this interview is nearly up, but I have one final question just about the Institute of Engagement. For those who don't know it, would you mind introducing it?
Yeah, so one of the things we've just started, just 6 months old, is the Warwick Institute of Engagement. So I've stepped up as co-director of this, and our idea is fundamentally to be a kind of a pan-university hub for where people who are interested in public engagement, whatever their subject, even scientists, we welcome, kind of come along. Let's all get together and think strategically about how best, as a university as a whole, we can be more than the sum of our individual parts, and really kind of take the university and all the great work that the university does across the full gambit of the subjects we study out there to the wider world. So the Institute is there to do that, both to organise the events and opportunities, but equally to help build the capacity at Warwick in terms of staff training, but also in terms of recognition of this amazing and important work, and really kind of provide the figurehead for this essential element of what a university needs to be doing as part of its regional and national community in the 21st century.
I think I can speak for all of the audience and the students at Warwick when I say I'm really excited to see where this goes, and it's very exciting to have you on and explain that. So
Brilliant.
Thank you very much for joining the live stream today.
No worries, Rebecca. Thank you very much. And come and get involved. We want our students to be as involved with the Institute of Engagement as the staff. Come along and get involved.
Definitely will do. And if there are any other students watching, make sure you get engaged as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, that was an amazing interview, wasn't it? And it's great to see what Warwick's doing in the future, even though we're looking so far into the past with ancient Greece. It's all very exciting, and we love seeing the passionate engagement of our academics here. As you can see, speaking to the lovely interviewees today, we really see that passion, and it translates to the students and to those getting engaged. So our next video coming up is from the Chinese Orchestra. The Chinese Orchestra Society are a group of student musicians who are passionate about promoting traditional Chinese music to the wider Warwick community, again sharing this passion with the Warwick community. So very exciting to see this video coming up.
Hello everyone, this is Leo. I'm going to play the piano today,
and I'm Riley. I'm playing June.
Okay, so today we're performing a medley of two songs. The first part is a Chinese song called The Big Fish and the Begonia. The second part is
Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence.
Okay, so The Big Fish is a Chinese myth about a sort of a legendary fish that lives in the Northern Sea that can transform into a kind of bird randomly.
And Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence is a piece composed by Richie Sakamoto, which told us a story about World War II.
Yes, so both musics are in D minor, and we figured out a way to put them together very nicely, and we wish you enjoy it.
The next piece is High Mountain Flowing Water, which is played by Grace. And this is a traditional Chinese song, and I hope you guys can enjoy it.
The next piece is brought to you by our pipa player, Fu Ge Yang, and the piece is called Send Me a Rose. Please enjoy.
That really was a great performance piece, wasn't it? If we were in person, I'm sure we'd all be giving you all a massive round of applause. So if anyone from the Chinese Orchestra Society is watching, well done to you all. I'm sure we're getting lovely comments in the chat at the moment. Make sure you're checking the chat if you're not. The next video is from the Word Society. So Warwick Word Sock inspires poets, spoken word artists and lyricists to express themselves and enhance individual creativity. They have generously contributed a video featuring poems around the theme of togetherness and community, and I'm really excited to see what they've come up with.
Hi everyone, my name is Amy. I am a first year international management student here at the university, and I am the vice president of a society called WordSock. So WordSock is basically a group of poets, writers, creators, and we basically get together and explore ideas and discuss emotions and feelings behind our writing, and we really just inspire each other to come up and create works of art that we are really proud of. So today we have got a collection of work to show you. We managed to get some together even though it's exam season for us, and we really hope you enjoy it and get a feel for what we really love to do and what we really love to share. And I've just written a quick introduction piece that I'm gonna perform to you that I think just quickly sums up exactly what we do as a society and what we'd like to share. I didn't know I had a home before I found poetry. I didn't realise there was a place that would accept me for everything I am and everything I'm not. A place where I can be celebrated, both when present and in secret, in heartache and in happiness. A place where sharing is the only method of communication, where giving yourself is taken with open arms, absorbing our stories into one another. Poetry is the community that never argues because perspective is undisputable. It is the land of harmony in discord. We give our words and receive validation. The validation that our journeys are different but real, varied but correct. Our poems are gifts, the stanzas the wrapping paper, punctuation the bows. We box our thoughts up in precious little parcels to give to anyone who will just lend us their time. We try and connect souls through sheets of white paper and ancient symbols. We would write for eternity if it meant finding another heart who feels our words like we do. Our desire is to put your deepest thoughts into words, to communicate the odyssey that is life. We give ourselves to the cause, to express the secrets most lips won't offer, to serve the gods of art until our pulse lines draw straight. We leave these permanent remnants of the buildings we once were, the palaces our words created, and the feelings they broke down. We are poets, and writing is how we share our gifts with the world.
Hello, my name is Sarah, and I am a second-year international management student. I am about to read a poem that is about gratefulness and trusting the process, which is not easy as a student. So I'll get right at it. Allowing yourself into putrefaction is much easier than constantly seeking the light. Instead of fighting for hygiene, you let anything consume you in a passive immobility of remorse and heartfelt agitation that, however, leaves you with nothing but anger and numbness. I trust, and the trust gets tested. I almost give up. Each time the idea crosses my mind, and I try to find, yet again, the light. I feel like the colors of the rainbow have faded, yet it still hasn't stopped raining, waiting trust. It is not yet time.
Hi, I'm Manpreet. I'm a first-year PhD student in chemistry at the University of Warwick. My poem is called Change. In this piece, I explore the themes of community spirit, difficult times, and how we collectively respond to change as a society. It's the things that never change. Faint lines of fate erode when resolutions are at stake. In quieter times, sometimes we beat our own drums until they break. Sometimes we break, run ahead of everyone else and fall down. Sometimes fall from grace when we meet. There is then place for ego, for broken vessels to bleed. Then thunder strikes and we all hide, sharing shelter, blankets and sorrow. It's the things that never change. How the darkest of times reveal the brightest of brains, appeal to the masses of the times, the boldest of our hearts. Ours replaces yours or mine. Petty fights in the heat of the summer, forgotten like the flaws of a kind mind, in winters against the storms when we unite. Create the perfect core and catalyst for the love to rise. Shoulder to shoulder we stand by each other's side. Change shakes, centers and souls. It's frightening, vandalizes our whole, but somehow our spirits always combine. Communities come together and humanity shines.
Hi guys, my name's Will and I'm one of the WordSock exec team this year. To mark World Giving Day this year, which is really close to my heart, I came up with this little poem in between shifts at work. I think a lot of the time giving as part of a social convention can be a bit of a burden on both parties, but it does make it all the more special on other occasions. I don't like to open my presents, yet soon enough I must. Until I do, the wrap is gold and what's inside is dust. The shiny red and green veneer of any shiny box will draw a smile from ear to ear if 3 new pairs of socks. The greatest gift I ever had, a plate of oven chips, that came at just the right moment to soothe my hungry lips. I bought the bag for myself, I'm not even a big fan, but someone saw that they would help, as only others can. What I'm saying is quite simple. It's not about the tag. The gesture means so much more than can any glittery bag. I could care less for Christmas, when we gift because we should, but I live for all the moments when someone did because they could. So the feeling is quite priceless, while the contents are for free. Just let me keep the wrapper on, please don't ruin it for me. And this next poem is one I've read quite a lot before, but that's because it's my favourite piece. Sometimes you want to give all you've got when you know there's not really much you can do. It's a very frustrating feeling, and it often comes out of the deepest place of empathy. If I could, I'd split these ribs of mine and build a house to shelter you. The walls lashed with my last sinew, veins hung around like ivy vines. My own 2 arms, the beams of pine, support the rooms you wander through. If I could, I'd split these ribs of mine and build a house to shelter you. No window broke, no frame askew, the roofing beams my very spine would build the home that Nairis knew, if I could split these ribs of mine. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Sophie Kite and I am one of the marketing and PR execs at WordSock. I don't write my own poems, but I do enjoy reading them, so I've decided on 2 poems that I want to share with you today. The first is When Giving is All We Have by Alberto Rios, and it demonstrates the importance of giving, which is especially pertinent to Giving Day. When Giving is All We Have by Alberto Rios. One river gives its journey to the next. We give because someone gave to us. We give because nobody gave to us. We give because giving has changed us. We give because giving could have changed us. We have been better for it. We have been wounded by it. Giving has many faces. It is loud and quiet, big though small, diamond and wood nails. Its story is old, the plot worn and the pages too. But we read this book anyway, over and again. Giving is, first and every time, hand to hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. You gave me blue and I gave you yellow. Together we are simple green. You gave me what you did not have, and I gave you what I had to give. Together we made something greater from the difference. So the second poem I have, it has maybe more of a tenuous link to Giving Day. Often modern technology is framed as a bad thing, which is maybe well deserved. But I feel like during this past year of the pandemic, we've been able to see how we can use technology to connect with others and strengthen our communities despite the distance between us. So I'll be reading Telephone Repairman by Joseph Miller. All morning in the February light, he has been mending cable, splicing the pairs of wires together according to their colours. White blue to white blue, violet slate to violet slate, in the warehouse attic by the river. When he is finished, the messages will flow along the line. Thank you for the gift. Please come to the baptism. The bill is now past due. Voices that flicker and gleam back and forth across the tracer-coloured wires. We live so much of our lives without telling anyone, going out before dawn, working all day by ourselves, shaking our heads in silence at the news on the radio. He thinks of the many signals flying in the air around him, the syllables fluttering, saying, "Please love me," from continent to continent over the curve of the earth.
Hi everyone, so this is going to be our last piece for Giving Day. It's just a short poem I wrote about giving in today's world and how that kind of affects us and the themes around that. So now we live in a world of give and take, and the money you have isn't the money you've made. We can all see the world only breeds envy and lies, open their wallets to see where the diseases all hide. We see needs, we see pain, we see problems aplenty, but we sit and say, "Oh, my change is all empty." Philanthropy dies just as quick as our paychecks. We hoard all our savings and can't spare a small speck. For people who crave it for things we all need, like living and breathing, not really such greed. If your hands are full and another's are bare still, reach out and try shake one, don't leave till it's all filled. Call money a gift and opportunity the occasion to brighten a future that's otherwise less than the perfectly happy and safe and secure life. See, money can help them leave all of that green strife. We'll never forget if you help someone out, see, because nothing in this life ever seems to work out free. We hope you've enjoyed all the pieces we've put together and enjoy the rest of the presentation today. Thank you for having us. Bye.
What a great way to end the live stream there. Some amazing performances again. If we were in person, we'd get a round of applause. I know we've got some virtual effective applause coming in the chat. Make sure you stay connected in the chats and in the events in the coming days, because this unfortunately is the end of the live streams. We've got a few things to go through, but it's been great celebrating what's going on at Warwick with you all, and I hope it's taken you back to some stuff on campus. So the amount raised so far is an incredible £12,883. So thank you to all of the amazing donors out there, I hope you're watching and you've enjoyed this live stream. It is really incredible. We're going to head over to our leaderboards on the Warwick Giving pages. So far, Roots is in the lead for the Halls competition on the leaderboard, and on the leaderboard for subjects, classics and history of art for departments is winning. I wonder whether that's been persuaded by an interview today, who knows? But we'll be tracking that in the future live streams. So for the challenges so far, we're over 70% of the way to completing the Student Support Challenge. The challenge was set by a mother of a current student who believes strongly in supporting Warwick and its students. The first 5,000 in gifts for student support will be matched by this challenge. What an incredible challenge and an incredible mother who's giving to this university. And it's great that we're already 70% of the way there. So just a quick reminder that at 8 p.m. today, we're launching our Power Hour. So we're going to try and raise as much as we can within the hour. So make sure you get involved, share things on Facebook, get other alumni involved, see how much we can raise. So another quick thing is tomorrow's live stream featuring a live game with Warwick Esports and a look at how Warwick is creating the future of transport. Later in the evening, there's a quiz. These are hosted by some great friends of mine at the Warwick radio station. So I know it's going to be a great live stream. Make sure you click into both of those and enjoy the quiz. So just another quick thing from me. Make sure you keep sharing the live streams. Go to the live streams tomorrow and go to the Giving Day website to share the page on Facebook, and make sure you follow us on Facebook. So that's it from me from the live stream. I've been Rebecca Cole, head of the arts department at the station here at Warwick, and it's been great hosting this today, and I hope you've all enjoyed it as much as I have.